The desert was endless. Golden sand stretched to the horizon, where the sun burned like fire. The air was dry and heavy, and every step left a mark that the wind tried to erase. In this forgotten world, far from trade routes and cities, lay ruins that had slept for thousands of years. Few dared to come here, and fewer returned. Aaron walked slowly across the sand, his eyes fixed on the broken stone pillars rising ahead. His boots sank into the hot ground, but his heart raced with excitement. For years he had studied ancient worlds, following old maps and half-broken records. Now, at last, he had found something that matched the clues. A tomb, hidden beneath the desert, waiting to be uncovered. Behind him, the rest of the team followed. Myra, the linguist, carried a pack of tools. Her eyes, sharp and curious, studied the carvings on the nearest pillar. Beside her came Rin, a strong man with little patience for study but great skill in digging and lifting. A few others trailed behind, carrying scanners and supplies. "This place is older than any I have seen," Myra whispered as she brushed her hand over a carved symbol. "These markings are not from any known culture. They feel different." Aaron nodded. "That is why we are here. Something new lies beneath this sand. Something the galaxy has forgotten." The entrance to the tomb was half buried. Stone blocks had fallen long ago, sealing the path. The team worked together, pulling, pushing, and digging until the dark mouth of the passage revealed itself. Cold air, untouched for ages, flowed out to greet them. Aaron stepped forward, lantern in hand, and the others followed. Inside, the walls were covered with strange lines and pictures. Unlike any language they knew, the shapes seemed alive, twisting as the light touched them. The air smelled of dust and metal. The silence was so deep it felt like the tomb itself was listening. They walked deeper, past narrow halls and chambers filled with broken statues. Some statues looked almost human, but with long arms and large eyes. Others looked like creatures from dreams, wings spread wide or claws raised high. At last they reached a chamber larger than the rest. The walls glowed faintly with golden dust, and at the center stood a stone altar. Upon it lay an object that caught every eye at once. It was a map, carved from pure gold, its surface smooth and shining even in the dim light. Symbols ran across it, the same strange style as the walls, but sharper, brighter, almost alive. Myra gasped and stepped forward. "This is no simple treasure. Look at it. The symbols form patterns, like routes or paths. It could be a star chart." Aaron touched the map gently. It was warm, as if holding its own light. "We found it," he whispered. "This is what the tomb was built to protect." Suddenly, the ground trembled. Dust fell from the ceiling, and cracks spread across the floor. The walls began to shake, and the statues seemed to shift. The tomb was waking. "Out," Aaron shouted. "Everyone out. Take the map." Rin lifted the golden map, holding it close, and they ran. The corridors shook as stones fell behind them. The statues crashed to the ground, and the walls split apart. A roar of breaking stone followed them as they raced toward the surface. At last they burst out into the sunlight, gasping for air. Behind them, the tomb collapsed in a cloud of sand and dust, sealing itself forever. Only the golden map remained in their hands, shining in the desert light. The team stood in silence, staring at the treasure they had pulled from the depths. The wind blew around them, carrying whispers across the sand. Myra looked at Aaron. "We should study it at once. Whatever this map is, it could change everything we know." Aaron nodded slowly, his eyes still fixed on the shining surface. He felt a weight in his heart, as if the map carried more than gold. It carried purpose, waiting to be revealed. That night, as stars filled the sky above the desert, Aaron sat beside the map. He traced its lines with his finger, trying to make sense of the paths and symbols. The shapes did not match any star charts he had seen, yet they pulled at his mind, as if he should understand them. Myra joined him, her eyes thoughtful. "It feels alive, does it not?" she said softly. "As if it is watching us as much as we are watching it." "Yes," Aaron replied. "This is no treasure for wealth. This is something greater. The tomb was not built to honor the dead. It was built to guard this. But why? And from whom?" The golden map shimmered under the starlight, as if answering but in a language too deep for words. Far away, unseen by the humans, signals spread across the stars. The awakening of the tomb had not gone unnoticed. Other eyes now turned toward the desert world, and other hands began to move. The map was no longer hidden, and its discovery would set events in motion that would shape the fate of more than one world. Aaron did not know it yet, but their lives had changed forever. The golden map had chosen to be found. The golden map rested on a long steel table inside the human outpost. The small base stood on the edge of the desert, its walls made of strong metal to hold back the endless sand. Inside, the air was cool, filled with the low hum of machines. Yet the silence around the table was heavy. Every member of the team stood close, their eyes fixed on the strange artifact that had nearly cost them their lives. Aaron leaned forward, studying the glowing surface. The lines and symbols carved across it seemed to shift as the light struck them. It was as if the patterns resisted being still, as if they were alive. Myra brought her scanning device closer. The screen filled with shapes and numbers, but nothing matched the database. "This is not any known language," she said. "But look at the way the symbols connect. They form paths. These are not just drawings. They are routes." Aaron folded his arms. "Routes to where?" "That is the question," Myra replied. Her voice trembled, not with fear but with excitement. She touched the edge of the golden surface and began to copy the shapes onto her tablet. Ren stood with his arms crossed, frowning. "We risked our lives for this. 4 lines we cannot even read. Maybe it is just an old design. Maybe we found nothing but a toy." Myra shook her head firmly. "No. This is too precise. Look here." She pointed at a cluster of symbols arranged in a spiral. "This matches the shape of star systems. I can see patterns in the distances between them. Someone created this to guide travelers." Aaron felt his chest tighten. "A map through the stars," he whispered. "A guide built thousands of years ago." The team worked for hours. Myra compared the golden map with known star charts. At first nothing matched, but then a pattern revealed itself. She stood suddenly, her eyes wide. "Here. This star cluster matches the border of the Orion Reach. And this one matches the rimward sectors. The map is real. It is old, but it is real." Everyone leaned closer. The golden map seemed brighter now, as if pleased to be understood. Myra continued, her finger tracing the largest path. "It leads across many systems, crossing places no one dares travel. The path ends at something marked only by a single symbol." Aaron studied the strange mark. It looked like a circle with light rays flowing from it. "What does it mean?" Myra's voice dropped. "The translation is not exact, but the closest meaning is the heart of stars." The room grew quiet. Even Rin lowered his arms. The words filled the air with a weight that none could ignore. Before Aaron could speak, alarms rang across the outpost. Red lights flashed, and the sound of warning filled every corridor. The crew rushed to the control room, where screens showed movement outside the base. Small figures moved across the sand, their shapes dark against the desert light. They carried weapons and machines. At the center of the group stood tall beings with hard armor and glowing eyes. Aaron felt his stomach turn. He knew those figures. "The Draxian Syndicate," he said. "Smugglers, raiders, thieves? If they are here, they know about the tomb." Myra looked at him sharply. How could they know so quickly? Aaron shook his head. The tomb must have sent a signal when it opened. They came to claim the treasure. The outpost walls shook as blasts struck them. Sand sprayed into the air, and the sound of battle grew louder. The syndicate was not patient. They wanted the golden map, and they would tear the base apart to get it. The team moved fast. Rin grabbed weapons, Myra carried the map, and Aaron guided them toward the ship dock. The hallways shook again, lights flickering as metal groaned under fire. They will break through in minutes, Aaron said. We cannot hold this place. As they ran, the golden map in Myra's hands began to glow. Light spread across its surface, spilling into the air. A star chart appeared above it, shining bright. Every path glowed like fire, and the final symbol of the heart of stars burned brighter than all. The crew stopped for a moment, stunned by the sight. The map had awakened on its own. It was showing them the way. Move, Aaron shouted. We must follow it before they take it. They raced into the dock where their ship waited, a sturdy vessel named Solar Wind. The hull shook as blasts struck near, but the ship remained intact. The crew climbed aboard as syndicate raiders stormed into the dock. Shots rang out as Rin fired back, buying time for the engines to power up. Myra placed the glowing map onto the main console. Instantly the ship's system locked onto the star chart, plotting the first destination. Aaron sat in the pilot's chair. Hold on, he said, gripping the controls. The solar wind roared to life. With a burst of power, it lifted from the dock and shot into the desert sky. Behind them, syndicate ships rose in pursuit, black against the burning sun. The chase had begun. Aaron pushed the engines hard, weaving through the upper atmosphere. Syndicate fire lit the sky, but the solar wind twisted between blasts with speed and precision. Rin manned the weapons, firing back whenever a ship came too close. Myra held onto the map, her eyes locked on the glowing path. The first point is marked, she shouted. We must head for these coordinates. Aaron nodded and pulled the ship into a steep climb. Stars filled the view as they broke free of the planet. Syndicate ships followed, their engines glowing like fire. The golden map pulsed again, sending the coordinates directly into the ship's system. The path lit up before them, stretching into the deep unknown. Aaron set the course, his voice steady though his heart raced. Then we go where it leads. If the map shows us, we will follow. The solar wind jumped into faster than light travel, vanishing into the dark sea of stars. Behind them, the syndicate followed, hungry for the treasure. Ahead, the first trial of the golden map waited. The heart of stars had called, and humanity had answered. The stars stretched around the solar wind like an endless ocean. Streams of light bent across the viewing glass as the ship raced along the path set by the golden map. Aaron sat in the pilot's chair, his eyes steady on the navigation screen. Behind him, the hum of the engines filled the ship with a constant rhythm, a sound that reminded them all of both safety and danger. Myra sat at the console, the golden map glowing in front of her. Its light was steady now, pulsing in time with the course they followed. Symbols shifted across its surface, guiding them step by step. Each time the ship moved closer to the marked coordinates, the map seemed to brighten. But the crew's relief did not last. Rin stepped into the cockpit, his jaw set tight. They are still following, he said. His eyes narrowed as he looked at the radar display. Red dots filled the screen, closing in on their trail. The syndicate has fast ships. They will not let us go. Aaron frowned but did not turn from the controls. We expected this. They want the map too much to give up. Myra leaned closer to the glowing artifact. Then we must reach the first destination before they catch us. The map is leading us somewhere for a reason. If we can unlock its purpose, we may find an advantage. Rin shook his head. Or we may find death. Do you not see? We are following lines we do not understand, while they are bringing fire and weapons. Aaron's voice was calm but firm. We have no other choice. If we turn back, they will hunt us. If we keep running without direction, we will be caught. The map is the only path forward. The ship jolted as warning lights flashed. A syndicate fighter had closed the distance, its weapons striking the shields. Blue sparks spread across the view as the solar wind shook under the blast. "Return fire," Aaron ordered. Ren slid into the gunner's seat and gripped the controls. The ship's cannons roared, sending bursts of light into space. One struck the enemy fighter, forcing it to spin away smoking. But two more appeared in its place, chasing close behind. Myra's voice rose. "The map is pointing us into that asteroid field ahead." Aaron's eyes sharpened. A wide belt of broken rock spun in the distance, sharp pieces of stone drifting together in endless circles. A dangerous place to fly, but also a place where larger ships would find it hard to follow. "Hold tight," Aaron said. He turned the ship sharply, heading straight for the asteroids. The stars blurred as they entered the field, rocks spinning past on all sides. The solar wind danced between stones the size of houses. Aaron's hands moved quickly, steering them through the shifting maze. Behind, syndicate ships followed, but their larger size made them clumsy. One crashed against a rock, exploding in a wave of light. Another spun off course, damaged by its own speed. Ren grinned as he fired at the survivors. "Now the rocks fight for us." Still, not all enemies were lost. Two syndicate fighters stayed close, weaving through the field with skill. Their shots streaked past the solar wind, shaking the hull again. Aaron pulled the ship into a narrow gap, sliding between two spinning boulders. The syndicate ships tried to follow, but one scraped against the stone, breaking apart. Only a single fighter remained, still hunting them like a shadow. Myra looked down at the glowing map. Its light shifted suddenly, forming a spiral shape. She gasped. "It is showing us a way through." "Follow the spiral." Aaron adjusted course. The solar wind curved in a wide loop, following the pattern. Rocks seemed to part ahead of them, as if the map had known this path all along. The last syndicate ship tried to match their turn but clipped a spinning boulder. Fire consumed it, leaving only silence behind. At last the solar wind burst free of the asteroid field, the stars wide and open before them. The crew let out a breath of relief. For the moment, they had escaped. Myra touched the golden surface again. "It saved us. It guided us through. The map is more than just a chart. It responds to danger." Aaron leaned back in his chair. "It is almost as if it wants to be used." The crew rested, but their victory was thin. They all knew the syndicate would not give up. More ships would come. More traps would follow. The golden map had not just given them hope. It had also painted a target on their backs. Hours later, the map shifted again. A new set of coordinates glowed bright, pulling them toward the next destination. Aaron set the course, and the ship turned into the deep unknown. As the stars passed, Myra worked with the symbols. She copied each mark, comparing them to known languages. But the more she studied, the stranger it became. "This is not just a map of stars," she whispered. "It is a test. Each route is marked with warnings. As if the makers wanted only the brave or the wise to follow." Ren scoffed. "Tests or not, the syndicate will not care. They will take it by force." Aaron looked at him. "Then we must prove ourselves before they do." Soon, the solar wind reached the edge of a dying star system. A red sun flickered weakly in the distance, its light dim and broken. Around it drifted the ruins of planets, shattered into pieces long ago. Among the debris floated machines, giant rings and broken towers of metal, ancient and silent. Myra's eyes widened as the map glowed bright. "This is the place." The first destination. The ship moved slowly through the ruins. The machines seemed endless, their shapes too large for any normal builder. Some pieces still glimmered faintly, as if part of them refused to die even after ages of silence. Then the map pulsed again. Beams of light stretched from its surface, connecting with the ruins around them. Slowly, the machines began to move. Rings shifted into alignment, towers folded together, and a massive gate formed in the darkness. The crew stared in awe. A structure larger than their ship, glowing with power, now floated before them. Aaron spoke softly. It was waiting for us. The golden map had brought them here for a reason. The first trial was about to begin. The gate floated in silence, a giant ring of ancient metal glowing with strange light. The broken ruins around it seemed to bow toward its center, as if the whole system had been built to guard this one structure. The solar wind drifted closer, its engines quiet as if even the ship felt the weight of the moment. Aaron sat at the pilot's chair, his eyes fixed on the glowing circle. His heart beat hard in his chest, but he kept his hands steady on the controls. Myra stood beside him, holding the golden map. It pulsed with the same light as the gate, shining brighter the closer they came. "This is no ordinary ruin," Myra whispered. Her voice carried awe and fear together. "It is still alive. After all this time, it still works." Ren frowned from his seat at the weapons console. "Alive or not, I do not trust it. Structures that last this long are built with purpose. Purpose usually means danger." Aaron nodded. "Then we must be ready. But the map brought us here. It is guiding us. That means this is the path we are meant to take." The ship stopped just short of the glowing circle. Suddenly, the map in Myra's hands projected lines of light across the cockpit. Symbols filled the air, floating and shifting. The gate responded at once, its center filling with a deep golden glow. Slowly, a voice that was not a voice filled the ship. It was not sound, not words, but something deeper that pressed into their thoughts. Yet in their minds it formed meaning. "Only the worthy may pass. Prove your mind. Prove your will. The heart of stars does not belong to the reckless." The light around them dimmed, and the ship was pulled forward. Aaron gripped the controls, but the ship no longer obeyed him. The solar wind passed through the golden glow of the gate, and everything shifted. In an instant, the stars were gone. The ship floated inside a wide chamber of light. No walls could be seen, only shifting patterns and moving shapes. Symbols spun in the air, forming puzzles, paths, and riddles. The crew stood silent, each one sensing that this place was not made of stone or metal. It was a trial shaped from thought itself. The map glowed in Myra's hands, pointing to the nearest cluster of symbols. They spun together to form a great lock of light, dozens of pieces waiting to be placed in order. "It is a puzzle," Myra said. "A test of knowledge." Aaron nodded. "Then we solve it." The crew worked together. Myra studied the shapes, matching them to the patterns she had copied earlier. Ren, though impatient, had a sharp eye for pieces that did not fit. Aaron kept calm, guiding them with steady words. Slowly the puzzle came together, the symbols clicking into place. When the last piece fell, the lock opened, and the chamber shifted. A new trial appeared. This time it was not a puzzle but a path of light stretching across a void. The path was narrow, broken in places, and below it stretched endless darkness. Ren cursed under his breath. "A test of will. They want us to cross." Aaron stepped forward first. The path formed under his feet, glowing with each step. Behind him, Myra followed, holding the map close. Ren came last, his eyes darting at the endless drop. Halfway across, the path shook. Shadows rose from the darkness, forming shapes that tried to block their way. They were not real, but they felt real. Figures of stone, claws, and wings rose, trying to push them back. Myra's voice trembled. They are testing our courage. They want to see if we break. Aaron's voice was steady. Then we do not break. He walked forward, ignoring the shadows. Myra followed, keeping her eyes on his back, refusing to look at the claws reaching from the sides. Rin hesitated, but with a growl he forced himself forward too. The path shook harder, the shadows grew louder, but the crew did not stop. Step by step, they crossed until the light carried them safely to the far side. The chamber shifted once more. This time, a final test appeared. Before them floated a great flame of light, burning without heat, but strong enough to blind. A message filled their minds again. Prove your heart. The map does not belong to the selfish. It must be carried by those who choose others above themselves. A small platform appeared, holding 3 simple items. A sword, a crown, and a seed. Each one glowed with power. They want us to choose, Myra said softly. Rin reached out toward the crown. Power. With it, we could rule. But Aaron stopped him. His eyes were on the seed. No. The crown means rule. The sword means destruction. But the seed means growth. Life. A gift for all, not just for one. Myra's eyes lit with understanding. Yes. The seed is the true choice. The map was not made to give power. It was made to give hope. Aaron took the seed in his hand. At once, the flame of light dimmed, and the chamber around them began to fade. The voice returned, calm and strong. You have chosen well. The first trial is complete. Remember, the heart of stars belongs not to the strong, but to the worthy. The light vanished. In the next breath, the solar wind was back in space. The gate stood behind them, silent once more. Before them stretched open stars, and the map glowed brighter than ever. A new path had appeared, pointing to the next destination. Ren sat heavily in his chair, his face pale. We walked through fire and shadow for a choice. All for a seed of light. Are you certain it was worth it? Aaron looked at him firmly. Yes. Because it was never about the object. It was about what we chose. That is what the builders wanted to see. Myra smiled faintly. And now we know. The map is not only a guide. It is a test. Only those who choose with wisdom will reach the heart of stars. The crew sat in silence as the ship moved forward. Far behind them, syndicate ships entered the system, scanning the ruins. But they were too late. The humans had already passed the first trial. Aaron set his eyes on the glowing path. Then let us see what comes next. The solar wind turned, engines burning, and the journey continued. The solar wind drifted through calm space, its engines low and steady. After the trial at the gate, the crew felt both relief and exhaustion. They had survived puzzles, shadows, and choices that weighed on their hearts. Yet the golden map shone brighter than ever, its paths glowing with promise. A new line had appeared, stretching toward the next destination. Aaron sat in the pilot's chair, studying the chart. His eyes were steady, but his mind was restless. Each trial brought them closer to something greater, but also closer to danger. The syndicate would not stop. They had already risked fleets to follow, and they would risk more. Myra stood near him, still holding the map. She ran her fingers across the glowing surface, tracing the new path. The next destination lies beyond the rimward sectors, she said. Few travel there. The systems are silent, filled with ruins and broken stars. Aaron nodded. Which means the map chose that place for a reason. Whatever waits there is part of the test. Ren entered the cockpit, his heavy steps echoing on the floor. His face was tight, his eyes sharp. You speak of tests as if this is a game, he said. But every step we take, the syndicate follows. We are running in circles while they gather strength. Aaron looked at him calmly. We are not running in circles. We are moving forward. The trials are shaping us, preparing us. Without them, we will never reach the heart of stars. Ren leaned closer, his voice hard. And what if the heart is nothing but a trap? What if it is a weapon, a prize meant only to destroy those who seek it? Would you still follow blindly? Myra frowned. The map tests for wisdom, not hunger. The builders wanted the heart to be found by those who would choose life, not destruction. Ren's lips pressed into a thin line, but he said nothing more. He turned sharply and left the cockpit. Aaron watched him go, a shadow settling over his thoughts. Something in Ren's eyes unsettled him, but he pushed the feeling aside. They had been through much together. Surely he could be trusted. The solar wind continued its journey. Hours turned into days as they crossed the wide emptiness. The crew worked in shifts, repairing the ship and preparing for what lay ahead. Myra spent long nights with the golden map, drawing patterns, searching for hidden meaning. Aaron stayed at the helm, guiding their course. Ren kept to himself, often silent, his thoughts hidden. At last the map pulsed with light. The next destination filled the viewing glass, a hidden world turning slowly in the dark. It was covered in clouds of silver mist, with strange towers rising from the surface like fingers of stone. Energy fields shimmered faintly, wrapping the planet in a quiet shield. Myra gasped softly. This world is not dead. Something still guards it. Aaron guided the ship closer. The golden map responded at once, sending out beams of light that pierced the silver mist. The towers shifted, opening a path for the solar wind to descend. Slowly, the ship sank through the clouds until the surface came into view. What they saw took their breath away. The ground was covered with ancient structures, vast halls carved into the stone, their walls shining with lines of gold. Machines, silent yet unbroken, stood in rows. It was a city frozen in time, untouched by the ages. At the center lay a great plaza, and in its heart stood a pillar of light rising into the sky. The next trial waits there, Aaron said. His voice was steady, but his eyes were wide with awe. The crew left the ship and stepped onto the stone of the plaza. The pillar of light hummed softly, its glow filling the air with warmth. The golden map pulsed stronger, and symbols rose from the pillar, spinning in the air. Before they could move closer, a sharp sound cut through the air. Weapons charged, and figures stepped from the shadows of the ruined city. The syndicate had arrived. Dozens of armored raiders surrounded the plaza, their weapons pointed at the crew. At the front stood their leader, tall and broad, his armor black and edged with steel. His eyes glowed cold beneath his mask. Aaron's heart sank. How did they find us so quickly? The leader's voice was deep and cruel. You think secrets remain hidden? You think ancient power belongs to you alone? The map is ours now. Surrender, and you may yet live. Aaron's eyes hardened. He gripped his weapon but did not raise it. We will never give it to you. Before he could act, a movement behind him froze his blood. Ren stepped forward, holding his weapon not at the syndicate but at Aaron and Myra. Enough, Ren said. His voice was cold, heavy with decision. This is not our fight. The syndicate offers strength. They will pay for the map, and with their power we will survive. I will not die chasing illusions. Myra's eyes widened in shock. Ren, you cannot mean this. After everything we faced together, you would betray us. Ren's jaw tightened. I choose survival. You choose dreams. He stepped toward the syndicate leader and tossed his weapon at his feet. Take them. Take the map. Just give me my freedom. The syndicate leader laughed, a sound without joy. Wise choice. Perhaps you will live to serve. Aaron's chest burned with anger, but he forced himself to stay calm. He looked at Ren with steady eyes. You do not see it? They will never let you lie free. You have traded your soul for a chain. Rin did not answer. He only turned his face away. The syndicate moved quickly. Aaron and Myra were seized, their weapons stripped away. The golden map was taken from Myra's hands and placed into the grip of the syndicate leader. The pillar of light pulsed as if warning them, but they did not listen. As Aaron was dragged across the plaza, he looked at Myra. Her eyes were filled with fear but also with determination. Even in chains, she would not give up. The syndicate leader raised the map high, and the pillar of light responded. Energy flowed into the golden surface, opening a new path above the city. The sky split with brilliance, and for a moment the world shook as if waking from long sleep. Aaron felt the chains tighten around his wrists. Betrayed by a friend, captured by enemies, he was powerless. Yet in his heart a spark remained. He knew this was not the end. Humans had faced worse and survived. He would not break now. Myra caught his eyes and gave the smallest nod. They would endure. They would find a way. The syndicate thought the golden map belonged to them now, but Aaron knew the truth. The trials were not just about puzzles or courage. They were about choice. And the syndicate had already chosen wrong. The plaza was silent except for the hum of the glowing pillar and the heavy steps of syndicate guards. Aaron and Myra were dragged across the ancient stones, their wrists bound with energy cuffs. Above them, the sky still glowed faintly from the light released by the golden map. The syndicate leader held it tightly in his gauntlet hands, a cruel smile hidden beneath his mask. Ren walked beside the guards, his face hard, though his eyes carried a shadow of doubt. He had chosen betrayal, yet his steps were heavy as if the ground itself pushed back against him. The syndicate leader stopped before the great pillar of light. He raised the golden map, and symbols swirled in the air around him. "The power of the ancients is ours now," he declared. His voice rang with pride and greed. Myra's eyes narrowed. She struggled against the cuffs but could not break free. "The map does not serve those who hunger for control," she said firmly. "It was never meant for hands like yours." The leader turned toward her, his voice sharp. "Then let it be remade. Power obeys those who are strong enough to seize it." Aaron clenched his fists, his anger burning, but he forced himself to stay calm. He knew Myra was right. The golden map was more than a guide. It tested those who held it. The syndicate had passed nothing. The builders would not allow such greed to prevail. The pillar of light responded to the leader's command, but its glow flickered unevenly. The golden map pulsed in his hand, yet the energy around him cracked like lightning striking against stone. The guards shifted nervously, their weapons tight in their grips. They sensed something was wrong. Suddenly the ground trembled. From the ruins around the plaza, golden patterns lit up, racing along the walls and towers. A deep sound rolled through the air, like the heartbeat of the planet itself. The trial had awakened. The syndicate leader tightened his grip on the map. "Do not fear," he shouted to his soldiers. "The power bends to us." But Myra shook her head. "No. It bends to truth." The light from the pillar flared, and in its glow figures appeared. They were not living beings but echoes, shimmering shapes of the ancient builders. Tall and graceful, their eyes blazed with light, and their voices filled the air like thunder and song together. "You stand unworthy," the echoes said. "You who take without giving, who grasp without wisdom, shall be judged." The syndicate soldiers raised their weapons, but their blasts passed through the echoes without effect. Panic spread among them. The leader barked orders, but his voice no longer carried the same strength. Aaron saw the moment. He glanced at Myra, and she nodded. Together they threw themselves against the guards holding them. The cuffs sparked as they struggled. A guard struck Aaron hard, but he refused to fall. With one final push, he broke free, seizing the weapon from the soldier's belt. Myra kicked her captor back and grabbed the fallen weapon. The two stood side by side, their breaths heavy but their eyes burning with determination. "Fight with me," Aaron shouted. "This is not their power to take. It belongs to no one. It is a trial for all." The guards hesitated. Some looked at the echoes, others at the glowing cracks in the ground. Fear grew in their eyes. A few even lowered their weapons, unsure if their leader's path was the right one. The leader roared in anger. "Cowards! Obey me!" He thrust the golden map high, and a surge of energy burst forth. The pillar shook, and the ground split, revealing rivers of light beneath the stone. The echoes' voices rose. "The test is not of power but of heart. You have failed." Aaron stepped forward, his voice carrying through the chaos. "You cannot take what is not freely given. The map chooses. The builders choose. And they will never choose chains." The golden map pulsed violently, as if rejecting the syndicate leader's grasp. Light spread up his arm, burning through his armor. He screamed and tried to hold tighter, but the map tore itself free, rising into the air. It drifted toward Myra. The light wrapped around her hands, gentle and warm. The pillar steadied, its glow returning to calm strength. The echoes bowed their heads toward her. "You walk the path with truth," they said. "You hold the courage of the heart. Continue onward." The syndicate soldiers fell back, their courage broken. Some fled into the ruins, others dropped their weapons entirely. The leader, his arm scorched and his pride shattered, glared at Aaron and Myra with hate. "This is not the end," he spat. "I will hunt you across stars. You will not keep it forever." He turned and disappeared into the shadows, taking Rin with him. Aaron caught a final glimpse of their former friend's face. Rin did not look back, but the weight in his eyes showed his choice still tormented him. When silence returned, Aaron lowered his weapon. His chest rose and fell with heavy breaths, but his spirit burned stronger than ever. Myra stood beside him, holding the golden map close. Its glow was steady now, as if it had found the hands it trusted. Aaron looked at her and said softly, "The map believes in you." Myra shook her head. "The map believes in us. No trial can be passed alone. You gave it strength with your courage, and I gave it faith with my heart." The echoes of the builders faded, their forms dissolving into light. The pillar sank back into the ground, leaving the plaza silent once more. Only the golden lines on the ruins remained, glowing faintly like stars beneath stone. The crew of the Solar Wind returned to their ship. Though battered and weary, they carried hope stronger than before. Aaron took the pilot's chair once more, and Myra sat beside him with the map spread across her lap. New paths had appeared, stretching into the unknown. Aaron tightened his grip on the controls. The journey is not over. The syndicate will come again. But we will face them. We will face anything. Myra nodded, her eyes shining with quiet fire. "Because the map does not test us for what we take. It tests us for what we give." As the solar wind lifted from the ruined world, the golden map glowed brighter than ever. It had been tested by greed, betrayal, and fear, but in human hands it had found something different. Something stronger. The human spirit. And that spirit was not done yet. The solar wind sailed through the endless dark, its engine steady and its hull glowing faintly from the last battle. Inside, the crew sat together in silence. Each of them felt the weight of what had happened on the ruined world. The golden map now rested in Myra's hands, glowing softly like a living heart. Aaron studied the stars ahead. He could still hear the syndicate leader's promise to return. He could still see Ren's eyes when he chose betrayal. The memory cut deep, but Aaron forced himself to stay focused. The journey was not finished. Myra's voice broke the silence. "The map shows a final path. It leads beyond the charted stars, farther than we have ever gone." Juno frowned. "Another trap maybe. Another trial waiting to test us." "It is a trial," Myra agreed. But I think it is also the end. The map wants us to find the last secret of the builders. The crew exchanged uncertain glances. The syndicate was still hunting them, and they were weary from battles and loss. Yet none of them spoke of turning back. Humanity had always been a species that pressed forward, even when the road was harsh. Aaron nodded slowly. Then we go where it leads. We finish what we started. The stars outside began to change. Familiar constellations disappeared, replaced by strange shapes and glowing clouds of color. They passed through storms of radiant light that shimmered across the ship's shields. The golden map pulsed brighter with each step closer to its destination. Finally, after long days, they reached a place unlike any other. Before them stretched a vast sphere of light. It was not a star, yet it glowed like one. Rings of energy spun around it, and within its center floated an enormous structure of stone and crystal. It was larger than cities, older than memory, and it pulsed with the same golden patterns as the map. Myra's voice was almost a whisper. The heart of the builders. The crew gazed in awe. Even hardened soldiers like Juno and old thinkers like Terran felt small before the sight. It was not just a machine. It was alive with purpose. Aaron guided the solar wind closer. The ship slid into a vast gateway that opened like a flower of stone. Inside, the air shimmered with light. Pathways stretched in every direction, all lined with glowing marks that matched the golden map. As they landed, the crew stepped onto the platform. Their boots echoed faintly. The silence of the place felt sacred. Suddenly, the golden map rose from Myra's hands. It floated above them, spinning slowly. The lines of light on its surface spread outward, touching the walls, the floor, and the ceiling. The entire chamber lit up, alive with power. The echoes of the builders appeared once more. This time they were clearer, almost real, their forms bright and tall. Their voices filled the chamber like a chorus. You have come to the final place. The last gift of our kind. Few have walked this far. Fewer still with hearts unbroken by greed. Myra stepped forward, her voice steady though her hands shook. Why did you choose us? We are only human. We are not as old or as wise as you. The echoes looked at her with eyes like suns. Because you are not bound by your past. You stumble, but you rise. You fall, but you stand again. Where others see chains, you see paths. Where others see power, you see hope. That is why the map chose you. Aaron clenched his fists. The syndicate will keep coming. They will chase this power forever. How can we stop them? The echoes spread their arms, and the chamber shook with light. The power is not a weapon. It is knowledge. It is memory. It is the story of all that came before. We guarded it, waiting for those who would carry it forward without turning it into chains. The golden map dissolved into pure light, then sank into Myra's chest. She gasped but did not fall. The glow spread across her skin for a moment before fading. The crew stared in shock. The map is now part of you, the echoes said. It cannot be taken by force. It will live as long as courage lives in you and in those you choose to share it with. Myra looked at her hands, trembling. She felt the warmth of the builders inside her, like fire and calm water at once. I don't know if I'm worthy. Worthiness is not perfection, the echoes replied. It is the choice to rise again and again. Carry this truth, and humanity will light the stars. The echoes slowly faded, their voices drifting like the last song of dawn. The chamber dimmed, and silence returned. For a long moment, the crew stood frozen. Then Aaron stepped to Myra's side. You are not alone. Whatever this gift is, we will face it together. Juno gave a short nod. The syndicate will still come. But now they can never steal what we have. Terran smiled faintly. Perhaps they will try. But history belongs to those who seek to learn, not those who seek to chain. They returned to the solar wind. The structure behind them pulsed softly, as if watching them go. When the ship rose into the void again, the glowing sphere of the heart faded slowly behind them, hidden once more among the stars. But Myra could still feel it inside her. The knowledge, the strength, the promise. It was not a burden, but a light to be shared. As they drifted through the dark, Aaron looked back at her. What now? Myra met his eyes. We go home. We tell our people. Not to rule, not to conquer, but to remember. The builders trusted us. Now we must prove they were right. The solar wind cut across the stars, its engines burning bright. Behind it lay betrayal, battles, and trials that tested them to the edge. Ahead lay new dangers, new enemies, and new journeys. But also ahead lay hope. The golden map had been found in a tomb of silence, hidden for ages. Now it lived again, not as a treasure to be taken, but as a light to guide. And in human hands, that light would never fade. For the strength of humanity was not in weapons or riches, but in spirit. A spirit that rose after every fall, a spirit that turned ruins into homes and despair into hope. The journey of the solar wind was far from over, but the final revelation had been made clear. Humanity was chosen not because it was perfect, but because it never stopped reaching. And as long as even one human heart kept moving forward, the light of the builders would shine forever.